guys, how's it going? It's Cloudy. Today I wanted to talk about another rant that I kind of had on my mind. For those of you who collect figures, do you collect figures to put them on display or do you collect them to play? So it's kind of like a collectible versus playable kind of figure rant. And this rant was kind of inspired by my little cousin. He collects Iron Man figures and he collects them in every model, every color, every edition. But he'll play with them. He'll take them out of the box and then he'll just like throw them around, toss them around. Obviously, like he's really young, so he's only 7, so he plays around with his figures a lot, which kind of got me thinking. Like, I collect a lot of figures. My dad collects a lot of figures. We just have a lot of figures around the house. Sometimes I keep them in boxes. Sometimes if they're used and I've bought them used, I will take them out, put them on the shelf. And I just kind of wanted to talk about my thoughts on that. If you guys have been following me for a while and you saw my first Nendoroid story video, I talked about how getting my first Nendoroid was kind of like a big step as an otaku, just because Nendoroids are pretty expensive and starting to collect them is a pretty big like collection move, I guess. I collect a lot of figures, but they're not necessarily the really super PVC expensive ones. If I go to Japan, I'll usually go to bargain places or places where I have to like dig into boxes, and I'll probably find figures there. Most of the time I'm looking for figures from old series that have characters I really like, timeless series that like I'll never get tired of, and just in general, stuff that's not a phase for me, stuff that's like really long lasting. If I have it on my shelf for more than a few months, I'll never get tired of it. And I found that sometimes you have this really big paranoia of not getting over the mint condition of the figure. So if you buy something, it's in a box, it's like perfectly packaged, all the stickers are in the right place, you don't want to rip anything off, you don't want to damage the packaging, and sometimes you end up buying the figure and it just end up on your shelf. So I'm kind of curious as to what you guys do. Do you play with your figures or do you just kind of like bring them home and, you know, put the box on the shelf and just leave it at that? I have a few figures that I do keep in the box, I never take out, but I do have most of my figures taken out of the boxes and I do keep them on the shelves. I do have to like clean and dust them regularly, but generally I like having them on display. Some people will argue that if you don't display your figures, you're not really kind of using them to a full extent. I mean, I understand that they're a collectible, but at the same time, you're not really getting to enjoy your figures. Here I have my second Nendoroid figure. It's Saber from Fate Zero. She comes with a bunch of accessories, the Excalibur sword, and then the motorcycle. I'll leave a link below. I did a mini photo shoot with her when I first got her, so you guys can check out all the pictures. I ended up taking Saber out of the box, mainly because when I bought Saber, she was actually a used figure. So I buy a lot of my figures on AmiAmi, and on AmiAmi they have resale figures where people just kind of sell their figures out and they kind of rate the figure by ABCD, so they'll rate the box and the figure as to what condition is best. So for me, the box was a B and the figure was A. Saber is in relatively like really good condition and I didn't really have to pay the full Nendoroid price for her, but I'm still kind of like getting past my mint condition stigma by buying a used figure. So yeah, I sometimes enjoy buying used figures more than brand new ones because I have this really paranoid fear of like scratching new figures or dropping new figures. Sometimes if they're used, it just kind of takes the pressure off of me as a figure collector. I have this really horrible pet peeve about people touching my figures because sometimes I don't know if their hands are clean, I don't know like what they've been eating or if like it's like sweaty hands or whatever. Like I just get really paranoid about my figures. Like I always wash my hands and make sure they're like totally dry before I touch any of my figures. I know some people even wear gloves. And yeah, I don't know, I just leave my figures when I buy them. I don't know if I actually like take them out to like play with them. I feel like I'm past the age where I'm playing with my figures. I will take them out for different occasions depending on what photo shoot theme I have in mind, but at the same time, most of the time they're just sitting on my shelf. I don't buy the classroom scenes or the extra Nendoroid landscapes to do photo shoots for my figures, so most of the time I'm taking them out to like a park or just on the sidewalk, into gardens, and it can get a little bit messy, which is why I try not to do that often. That just bothers me a lot because when I have really new figures, I usually don't want to take them out, I don't want to get them dirtied or anything, and that's kind of one of the biggest problems I have with my figures. So I guess the big question is like, what do you do with your figures after you collect them? Sometimes I keep figures on my desk to inspire me to draw, or just kind of like the character's personality will remind me to like persevere with my work. But I don't know, what do you do with your figures when you get them? Sometimes I'll even put them back in the box, put them in storage, because you know there's just not enough room around the house. I've also had my mom ask me like, to what end is my figure collecting aiming towards? I feel like figure collecting is an end in itself. Like every time you get a figure, it's like, yes, goal reached, got there. And you just kind of enjoy enjoy possessing the figure. Like, I know it all sounds really materialistic, but I guess when it comes to collecting, it is kind of materialistic. And it's not like figure collecting takes over my life. I'm just really curious as to like how some people can only collect and they collect and collect and collect and collect, and I just don't know what happens after that. I draw the line with figure collecting. I'll only collect a figure or buy a figure if it's like one of my absolute favorites. So that's kind of like my criteria for it. And I'm also pretty picky about like how it's made, paint jobs, companies, whatever. So that's like the stuff that I kind of consider. So. And of course, price range is a really big factor that I take into consideration because figure collecting is really expensive. I was talking to my dad about this issue and he really said it depends on what you collect, because if you just collect really vintage figures that are really old, probably irreplaceable, you probably won't want to take them out. But if you collect stuff that's very ongoing, they're meant to be taken out, moved around, different poses, accessories, kind of like Nendoroids. You dress them up, you dress them down, you switch them around kind of thing. You do take them out. I know some people who don't take their Nendoroids out at all, like it's total sacrilege to like take them out of the box. But I don't know, I was just playing around with some of my dad's figures the other day, so it just kind of brought up the idea, and I wasn't sure what other people did with their figures. So I'm really curious, what do you do with your figures after you get them? Do you keep them in the box, store them in the closet, hide them in your room so nobody ever touches them? Or do you just kind of get them and resell them when you're over that phase? So these are all the scattered thoughts on my mind, and I'm curious as to what you guys do with your figures. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys found some food for thought, and leave a comment below on what you guys think. I would love to hear your thoughts, and I do read all of your comments all the time. Thank you guys very much for watching, and if you guys want more from me, don't forget to hit like or subscribe, and I will talk to you guys very soon. Bye!